Frankenstein Minute started 2020, dissecting 12 seconds of exit music from Frankenstein.
Then jumped right into Bride of Frankenstein.
You've been right there with us as we dissected the correct way to pronounce Una.
Slowed down the homunculi voices only to discover that many of you program your podcast app to speed them back up again.
And appeared as guests on Dino and Dana's Safe Space and Gilbert Gottfried's Amazing Colossal podcast.
We're honored once again this year to be nominated for the Rondo Hatton Classic Horror Award for Best Multimedia Site for 2020.
Voting for the awards has already begun, and the deadline for voting is Sunday night at midnight, April 25th, 2021.
And that's just 2 days after my birthday.
Anyone can vote, including you, dear listener.
Just by sending an email to David Colton at taraco@aol.com.
With Rondo Awards 2020 in the subject line.
And your vote for Frankenstein Minute for Best Multimedia Site in the body of the email.
It's really just that simple.
Of course, you can also visit rondoaward.com and get instructions for voting on the full ballot for 2020.
If that's too complicated for you, then we probably don't deserve to win anyway with a listenership full of idiots like you.
How do you do? We're about to unfold the story of
The Bride of Frankenstein. She's alive! Alive!
a monster created from cadavers out of rifled graves. A tale that sent my blood into icy creeps.
Would you like to hear what happened after that?
Well, we've warned you.
You've been warned. Welcome back to Frankenstein Minute, the podcast that dissects the Universal Frankenstein film series minute by minute. I'm Thom Lang.
And I'm Bill Evenson. And like Tom told you just seconds ago, we're analyzing the Universal Frankenstein film series minute by minute. This is terrible.
What happened?
I don't know what happened.
So you
I
took
never
a
know what
date.
to say when I'm second. When
You
you're
just-
first, it's like you figured it
it's
out.
Written, it writes itself, but
You've joined us for minute 64 of Bride of Frankenstein, which is, you've seen Bride of Frankenstein. That's the one with Boris Karloff.
yeah.
That's how you can tell. So,
It's that one with Boris Karloff.
you know, the Frankenstein movie with
Frankenstein
Boris
with
Karloff.
Boris Karloff.
Came out in 1958, and it's called Frankenstein,
Frankenstein
1970.
1970. I actually just
That was pretty high on that list I sent you.
Yeah,
So we were
it's-
talking about films that were.
well,
Tom and I talk about Frankenstein when we're not recording, and I was. We were talking about something, and I.
Oh, it's Mary
sent
Shelley.
a link.
Mary Shelley's Frankenstein.
I sent a link
and
to.
then-
Oh, that's right. We were talking about Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. Yeah, or were we? Actually,
Yes,
no. You
because
had
then
said something else. Rock and roll.
That's what it evolved into was
Okay.
Rock and Roll Frankenstein, and then there was one.
So
called,
maybe I'll put this link up. Actually,
You should.
We can engage in some
yeah,
discussion
you
on
should,
the village.
because there's Beach Blanket
So
Frankenstein.
go visit Frankenstein Minute Village on Facebook, which is, again, let's make sure that we get this out there. An evil,
Yep.
terrible, monstrous thing. But if you're on Facebook.
If you're there
go to
anyway.
it. And if you're already on Facebook, you
you're
haven't,
not hurting anyone.
you know, done the right thing and canceled your account. Go to the village and we can talk about this. I created a little search thing where you can, it's just every film at the Internet Movie Database that lists Mary Shelley as a writer. And if you sort by, you can sort by whatever you want. And I sorted by rating. And the worst rated one was, what was it called?
Army of
Frankensteins.
Frankensteins, which just sounds like a terrible concept. It's a guy travels back in time to the Civil War where he encounters an army of Frankensteins.
Yeah, it's kind of funny when you say the Civil War. The Civil War is before this movie.
Yeah.
1899 fucks
Yeah, I
up this
know.
whole
Yeah,
movie.
it is.
It's so stupid. It's totally not 1899.
Because the
okay.
novel is like 100 years before that. It's in the 1790s.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, she left the date.
The novel or the novelization, because in the novelization, I think it is too.
Either way.
Well, at least one of them.
Either
Well,
way.
no, both of them.
Both of them
Edgemont,
are.
I think even.
Yeah, they both are.
Yeah. Oh,
For fuck's sake.
exhausting.
It is.
This podcast is exhausting. There's too much to talk. There's too much Frankenstein.
much Frankenstein.
There's like an army of Frankenstein.
Oh, you think?
I gotta say, here's the thing about that film. I want to see this film. First of all, because it's got such a low rating. It's apparently so bad that it's
It's got-
probably
yeah.
kind of good. But also the title Army of Frankensteins plural, is just chef's kiss. I can't imagine anything better than a title like
Well,
that.
and I'm sure it's Army of Frankenstein's Monsters, not
And nobody's going to make a movie called that.
Army of Frankenstein, Victor.
Maybe it'd be good if it was Army of Frankensteins with an apostrophe.
Yeah.
So it's just left open. Army of things that
Belong to Frankenstein.
Henry Frankenstein is a character in the film Bride of Frankenstein, and he and a character that I know as Ludwig push a huge cart just full of
stuff,
operating
shiny,
instruments.
nasty looking.
It's just as shiny and gleaming and nasty looking as you can imagine. And I guess they're going to stitch an already beating heart into a body. So they need instruments. This is an operation that's going to take some work. It's going to take some doing.
Finesse. Yeah.
I mean, it's. I think we talked about this before, but trying to, or maybe we haven't. I guess that's what we're here to talk about. Is what they're going to do is stupid. You wouldn't stitch a beating heart into a body.
Yeah.
It's just, it's bizarre. What they're actually trying to accomplish, you would think the last thing that would happen that would let you know that it worked is that the heart would start beating.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a doctor, but I play one on TV, and I don't know. Yeah, you were actually.
I knew you played one on TV, but I just assumed you were also. Didn't you do a PhD in
reanimating the dead at Miskatonic University?
There you go. So it is this is important surgery that they're going to do. And my thought when I watch it is to think, well, it's kind of weird that's just two guys doing it.
Yeah, because generally there's a whole team.
If they were going to put a heart in my body, you would think there'd be a whole team.
Yeah.
But there's no anesthesiologist.
True.
There's no reason to monitor to make sure that the person's not dead. Because the person's dead.
Make sure they're still breathing. Yeah, right.
The person is wrapped up in bandages. And I don't think we ever actually get the impression that they take the bandages off and
shove the heart in.
Shove, as you say, the heart into the chest. I mean,
yeah, because, well,
damn it, we're going to go long again, but you've seen open heart surgery, right?
I've had it,
first of all.
So I didn't actually.
You got me beat there.
I didn't actually get to see that one.
What were you? Where were you?
I honestly don't.
La La Land,
evidently.
So you did have an anesthesiologist.
Yeah, I did, definitely.
So that's what they do here, presumably. I mean, there's a lot of stuff, and our Patreons will remember you talking to Dino. Here we go. I'm 4 for 4 mentioning Dino, or like five weeks in a row now. But you guys talked about the stent thing. Nowadays, this is like outpatient.
It is, yeah.
But back in the
1890s,
the 1800s. Presumably, this was a thing, especially if you're going to actually put a heart in.
Yeah.
You would have to crack open
split the rib cage, split the sternum,
split the sternum and
detach the lungs, and it's quite a process.
Yeah, detach the lungs. Yeah, I suppose so.
Yeah, my lungs haven't been quite the same since. So.
Is that true?
Yeah, if I need to take like a deep breath, usually I'll start to cough.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I feel bad for you.
No, it's fine.
I should say something now.
No, I don't. It's not.
I'm sorry, Tom.
Not like I said. I lost a leg in Nam or something. It's not quite the same.
Well, that's true. You've got all your legs.
Yep.
When Pretorius picks up the heart, is it in a?
Oh well.
Okay, go ahead.
Does that come first? You
get to talk on this podcast.
Do
too.
I? Okay.
Yeah. We're allowing you to talk this week.
He picks up a set of salad tongs or something.
Totally.
I'm sure it's a real instrument, but it looks like the thing we have to pick salad out of a bowl.
Yep.
And he turns away from the camera. Then we cut to a reverse angle of the two of them blanked by the body of the bride covered in a sheet.
It's funny listening to you try to figure out how to say this because I've been thinking about how to describe this. It's the body of the bride. Yeah. I think we should just call her the bride.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know what else to say.
It seems reasonable to call her that.
Yeah.
That's the credit.
Yeah. The monster's mate. The credit is the monster's mate.
Oh, shoot. You're right. A good point. Good point. The bride is Valerie Hobson.
Yes.
So fuck it. I don't know what to do.
For all intents and purposes,
all fucked up.
That is, I've said it before, I'll say it again. Valerie Hobson is not the title character of the film. This is the title character.
This is the kind of controversy you folks came here for.
That's right. We're going to stir up that hornet's nest.
We're going to stir up that hornet's nest. But so before that, he carries the
vial,
heart,
the big
giant
jar with
and it's in a dark liquid.
Yeah,
like is it
opaque liquid? I would have to think so.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's kind of the inference that it's a dark red liquid. It's black and white. But
Doc Ivan makes something really gross looking, like a big red sloppy mess. That's what should be happening here.
Yes.
I think I pretty much covered it, but yeah, what they actually go to do is absurd to me. I think I've pretty much.
Then he picks the heart up out of the jar with the tongs.
You don't see that though?
Yes, it just comes into shot, just like a few.
Oh, you can see the heart.
It looks like a rubber ball or something. It doesn't look like a real heart. It was 1935.
My dog would be all over that right there.
Yeah.
Jump right up and grab that ball.
She loves.
She's
hearts,
a ball hound.
Oh, I thought she loved hearts.
No, doesn't care so much for it.
Yeah, Maggie likes hearts too. Oh God, I like balls too.
Hearts.
Even that sounds bad.
Oh, something got killed in her. Maggie loves balls. You've got your title for this week's episode.
License to print money.
Yep.
It comes up into the frame just over the horizon or whatever of the bride's body, just a couple inches, and it looks like a rubber ball. But
do we get to the miniature at this point?
That's when there's the lap dissolve again to the miniature.
And this isn't the one that we saw before because now there's flames.
Yep, it's the same model. It's just a different angle, different stuff going on. Yeah, because there's some activity on the roof. Some torches are going, and the apparatus is all in place.
And it's a mistake to have those flames. I think the way they have them, it's if you think about it and look too close, those would be the gigantic flames, and it's like that same thing. Flames and water.
Scaling it down is always hard.
Yeah. and it fails here, but it's not on the screen long enough, and it's not a big enough deal to take you out of it. It doesn't bother me.
Yeah, I mean, I think fail maybe is too strong a word. Yeah, the fire is obviously way out of proportion, but not to the film's detriment. Just such a quick shot.
Not as bad as last week when Elizabeth pulled her arm out, clearly by mistake.
Or a few of the effects coming up.
Did we establish an opinion last week on whether that's a fuck up? Hobson pulling her arm out?
I don't know that we had a consensus. Basically what I said is that it works for the story. How she did escape.
Okay.
Yeah, we said that was our opinion.
Okay. I like that as an opinion.
Yeah.
But I think it was a fuck up.
Oh, probably, but we'll retcon it into the story.
Excellent. Okay. So then you had talked about the way the room is lit and how things are more stylized. And then we get a shot of them going over to that box.
Well, but first...
I think before our podcast even premiered, you had a picture of Colin Clive with the headphones, but you were going to mention something else first.
Well, first, from the lap dissolve, it dissolves into Carl rushing up to the camera. The storm is rising!
Yes, this is the first of very Renfieldian lines from
Carl's, yeah.
And we're going to see more of this. It's great. It ties into what I talked about Dwight Frye. He's been given free reign to be Carl, and he's taking it.
You know, he lamented getting all these kind of parts throughout his career after Dracula, but he was great at them.
Did he?
He wanted to do like light comedy, and I don't think he ever wanted to be a leading man, but he had on Broadway had done a lot of comedy character parts and things, and certainly after Dracula and then Frankenstein cemented it that, you know, he's the creepy kook, and that was pretty much the rest of his career.
And is this the closest he gets to that light comedy? Because he's
funny,
playing a comedy role here. What do you say, pal? We, that whole thing.
Yeah, it's probably as funny as he gets. He's in The Invisible Man, and he's just a reporter, and he's not particularly funny in that.
Well, that's right.
He was in Sun, but apparently the part was cut out. We'll talk about that because there are several theories behind it.
And we're not done with
Dwight Frye yet.
We're not done with Dwight Frye by a long shot. I mean, obviously he's got a bigger role
than he
here
will later on. Yeah,
he's gonna ever again. Yeah. We'll have to make a point of saying goodbye to him when he leaves.
Oh, absolutely, yes. Okay, now we get to the backlit shot where they go over to, I assume, like an amplifier or something.
I don't know. It's some kind of electrical machine. I don't know.
It is an electrical machine, and they put on their Dr. Dre's.
Yep.
And it's beautifully backlit.
Beats.
Yep, it's a beautifully backlit shot. They're partly silhouette
really
and partly highlighted on the sides. It's a nice. I hate to use the word rim lighting because now we're going to get some stupid jokes about that.
No.
That's what it is. That's what it's called.
That's what it's called.
And it looks great.
It looks really great, and it's not used. It's not overused, even in a genre film like this.
Even in this.
You would think a horror film might have more of this, actually. So it's striking when it happened. And Pretoria says the air is heavy with electricity, which is just like poetry. It is. It's beautiful. Percy maybe wrote this one.
Yeah, maybe he wrote that line in.
And then it's going to be a terrific storm. Like,
Yeah, it echoes what Henry said in the first film when he does the exact same thing. Has the headphones on and he's listening.
Yes.
And you have that little, in that film, I don't think you hear it here, but you have that little crackling electrical sound effect when he's listening in Frankenstein. Little
oh, I don't know if I even noticed it then because I probably thought it was just lightning.
No,
Yeah.
it's,
Okay. Interesting. I should listen to this podcast. Did we talk about this a year and a half ago?
Yeah, I think I mentioned it.
You know, it's going to be a terrific storm, which is terrific's a great word. It generally, in a modern context, just means good or really
Oh,
good.
that's terrific.
That's terrific.
But it also could mean very large, very overwhelming.
And that is what it means, right?
Yes,
Like that's
yeah.
actually what the definition of it is. But there's
Yeah.
also an archaic connotation, which is that it's terrifying. It means,
Hence,
terror.
yeah, it's the root word of the.
Yeah.
Yep.
So there's a lot going on just in that word.
Yeah.
There's what it used to mean, which is great. There's what it means when he says it, which is great. And there's the modern context where it just falls apart. It's going to be a terrific storm, don't you
I
think?
love it.
Is this a thing, listening to a storm on headphones? What is this?
well,
is this something meteorologists do?
I don't know about that, but it's certainly something that mad scientists do.
Yeah,
I'm
true.
not a doctor.
You're not a meteorologist?
I'm not.
Even on
TV.
Yeah, I'm going to get my headphones and listen to the weather.
Then Henry and Pretorius draw back the sheets on the bride. She's wrapped head to toe quite a bit more neatly than Boris was wrapped in 31, which looked sort of haphazard.
Totally.
There, I surmised, is probably where any of the body parts were joined together, were wrapped up. So,
Okay.
or the shins were left open. Probably was no seam there, where there might have been at the hip or in the thigh.
Let me make sure I understand.
That's just conjecture.
But it's a distinction between the first film and this one because ... What? Because why? Like, why is it different this time?
Well, first of all, Pretorius is...
Because she's not as pieced together?
She's not as
or-
pieced together. Pretorius is a lot more fussy as well.
Ah, okay, sure.
So I could...
Well, there's safety pins all
Yeah,
over.
holding the things.
Holding those
Yeah.
bandages.
So I think it's just a lot of him fiddling with it.
Yeah.
Her body and everything, apparently except for the heart, was grown by him, but that won't explain a certain aspect of her physiogeny later. We'll get to that. Yeah.
Okay, we'll look forward to that. The nose, I think,
pointed
is
nose.
striking. That pointy nose, because that's the way a bandage looks
Yeah,
when you
like
put it on a
certainly,
nose.
look
And
at-
it reminds me of, I was going to say, or maybe you were about to say it reminds me of another James Whale film.
Yes, I was going to say. It's a lot like
Yeah.
Claude Rains in The Invisible Man.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's really striking, and I think it's one of the things that's striking to me because of that 8mm film I watched as a kid.
Oh, sure.
That was definitely in there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they talked about it, and so they talk. Henry and Pretorius. I keep thinking where I'm saying the name, like I'll say an actor's name and then the characters. So like Henry and Thesiger, or Clive and Pretorius. I feel like we do that all the time.
Yeah, we do.
But Henry and Pretorius are around this head, and I'm doing it with my hands. I can't stop doing it. But no one can see me. The way Thesiger does some great hand work there. You know, he
does a good hand
looks
job
like,
here.
That's what they always said about that knitter, that
pointer.
crochet needle pointer, was he gave great hand job on screen as
Yep.
it happens. But like he almost looks like he wants to just grab her head, you know. But he's right in there.
No,
He's very
give her a
excited. He's really excited about this. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, there's a great description in the screenplay of her.
Great. I don't have this.
The sheet is removed, and we get a fleeting glimpse of a whitish gray figure, beautifully bound from top to bottom with Egyptian-looking bandages. The arms lie at the sides, quite straight, but also bound even to and including the fingers, which are long and pointed. I like how they say neatly bound from head to toe. And it is. That had to take a long time. And if that's really she had to have an enormous amount of patience to endure that and then have to lay there for that long of a time.
But do you think is there even a possibility?
I think for these shots, no, it's probably a dummy.
Yeah.
And only when she moves later, it's her.
When we actually see what happens.
Yeah, it looks a little bit different later on. So I think this is probably a prop.
Yeah, we'll get into that when it happens. But it seems I think it'll be pretty obvious when it turns into a person.
Right. It's like in the
It's not even.
It's like in the beginning of The Mummy, where the shots, the wide shots of them standing around the sarcophagus, it's a prop of Karloff wrapped as the mummy, and only the shots where you see him up close or moving is it really him.
I didn't even know that. Mm-hmm. Huh. It's a good prop.
Yeah, watch it next time. And it's not obvious, but you can see where the difference is.
Such a great movie. That scene and all the things that happen. We could do that minute by minute. For sure.
I would love to, because that was one of these Universal ones that actually frightened me as a child.
Well, and it's just so great. It's so great the way that it's put together. I mean, when he walks away and all you just have is those bandages.
See the trailing
moving.
bandages.
It's just perfect. It's so great. You know, it's odd that you mentioned the script, and I didn't know how much to sort of write down about this minute and next minute, maybe in particular this minute. So I just wrote something like I wrote here, script is so weird. Whale clearly just cared a lot about this part of the movie, and it seems like he worked to perfect the odd staging from the script prior to shooting. The problem, again, that I keep coming back to is I don't know what this is. Philip J. Riley put it out. Do we know what script this is? Right?
The one that's printed, you're talking about the Magic Image film book, Bride of Frankenstein. Yeah. The one that's copied in there, or reprinted in there, is James Whale's personal shooting script.
It is.
So any of the annotations in there, and there's one coming up next minute, they're his.
Oh, that's great.
So
we are definitely going to talk about that next minute. Yes, that's a good one. I have that in mind, so we'll probably talk about that. So when there are changes to it, they were, we assume, done after they'd started filming?
Yeah, they're done what they call on the floor. I think so.
Well, that's what I guess I'm talking about, is that little moments like the only one I can think of now, sadly, because I didn't scribble anything down, was last week's thing about, or it was 2 weeks ago now, Pretorius and when he pours the thing into the glass. You know, like there's a lot more changes, little subtle changes of where a character is. And
a lot of that comes from just working with the actors and, just inspiration on the set.
Yeah, and I think what we end up with is so great.
Yeah.
It's my opinion that Whale thought that this part of the movie, this last 15 minutes, is so important that he wanted everything to be just right.
Oh, of course. And there's even a reference to that in the script at some point, I think later on, saying, that this has to top the one from the last film.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the one I tried to stumble through my bad handwriting to read.
I like that he mentions convolutions. Yeah. It's a callback to the scarcity of convolutions.
Yeah, now there are apparently plenty
in the frontal lobe of that fucked up brain from Frankenstein.
A plenitude of convolutions this time, apparently.
You know what I've noticed lately on Twitter is people referring to each other as having a smooth brain.
Oh, yeah, that's
that's an insult that people use. I'd never heard that before. This year.
It's like a mouth-breathing, smooth-brained, knuckle-dragging, slack-jawed, red-headed stepchild. Yeah.
That's right.
Oh, I forgot banjo playing in there too.
Oh, well, how could you forget?
I've been trying.
But I mean, Waldman made that insult in 1931.
Yeah, right.
We talked at length about that.
The scarcity of convolutions.
Look at this asshole with the scarcity of
this dumb fucker.
Convolution. He takes his pencil and he wraps it on the jar. Look at this fucking guy.
This dipshit.
Asshole.
You're not wrong, Walter. You're just an asshole.
Why? Just walks away. And Fritz walks in and grabs it. Oh, this one's pretty good. The rest of them are all these weird
this one's nice and
smooth. Perfect. He said great. To get a good one. This one looks really good. But Henry looks unimpressed yet again. So he had a bit of a moment where he said, "Shall we put the heart in the body?"
Can I?
Yeah, exactly. But now he's back to that grim Colin Clive. What we assume nowadays to just be sort of a drunk,
delirium tremens,
barely conscious delirium. Delirium tremens. No, of course not.
No.
Of course not. Of course we're kidding. We're only, half kidding. But
embellishing for comic effect.
Embellishing for comic effect. It's very effective what's happening here. Is Henry is a tortured person. In general, and in particular at this moment. And that's what I'm getting. You couldn't have picked
a better actor to portray that because of the reality of Colin Clive's being a tortured individual.
Yeah.
Plays really well. I don't think.
And you could see where this might be something that might make him crack. Pretorius says, isn't it amazing, Henry? And this is the kind of moment where you could see where Henry would be like, yeah, this is fucking amazing. This is fucking great. Like, this is his life's ambition.
Yeah.
This is what he's been working on forever. This is he's Frankenstein, for
For
Christ's
fuck's
sake.
sake.
But no, that's not what happens here. I mean, it goes into next week,
Well,
too. But he doesn't
yeah.
crack. Spoilers for next week. He doesn't crack. Even despite everything Pretorius has to say about this.
Right.
And it's a great description that he gives, but Henry's nonplussed, if I understand what that word is.
It means plus.
I don't think I do.
No, because
He's plus.
nonplussed and plussed are the same thing.
Ah, got it.
He's.
What's minus?
I don't know.
Is that
I
something?
have no idea.
Good night, folks. Buy my book. Buy my fucking book.
That's the name of the episode. Buy my fucking book. Well, here's a
Just
screen
a blank screen.
screen
It just
grab
says,
of you
buy my fucking
pointing at the
book.
camera like you just did.
God damn it, buy my fucking book. So I don't have to do this podcast anymore and I can write books. All right.
Okay.
I'm going to stop.
I am too.